Welcome back. I'm now joined by Director of Student Services, Beth Canny, and Tony Kressel, Learning Commons Director at Highlands Elementary School. Folks, when I think of summertime, I'm thinking of vacations, swimming pools, baseball games, and you know what? Just having fun. How do we avoid the summer brain drain with all of that fun going on?
Well, I think those are awesome places to actually find some opportunities for learning. We're not asking students and families to jump in and do a rigorous, robust program, but we are thinking about what are some ways that you can build a consistent opportunities for learning within it. For example, on vacations, why not take some time to take photographs and write a little bit about it? Do a photo journal of what you've seen on your vacations. What a great opportunity for a memory for those families to have down the road. What about journaling when you go out to different places? Especially with our younger writers, they have the opportunities to practice those writing skills in an authentic setting. And then they'll have those memories for a long time down the road.
Even a simple activity, I suppose, like a daily diary, if you're staying here in Naperville your entire summer, is a learning opportunity that kids could take.
As we know that Naperville is a vibrant community and there's all sorts of opportunities for us to be doing all sorts of activities to be writing about and keeping track of. Send those on to your classroom teachers. Elementary teachers love getting mail. They would absolutely be delighted to see what their students and former students are up to.
It really sounds like no matter what it is you're doing during the summer, you have an opportunity for learning to extend and continue your learning from the school year in preparation for the next school year. Beth, why is it so important that kids continue to learn throughout the summer?
Dan, studies show us that up to 75% of students experience some type of summer learning loss. So it's very important for students to stay engaged with text over the summer. We can lose up to 2 to 3 months of reading development over the summer if we don't. The great news is that if we do stay engaged with text, we're able to perhaps increase our reading development by up to 1 month just by staying reading over the summer.
Well, so important to continue that, and I know we have resources throughout the community that can help with that, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. With so many competing interests out there, how do we go about making that summer learning fun so that kids are really interested and want to continue to do it?
Well, one thing I would say is that we are not trying to compete with all the fun that's happening during the summer. We just want to expand upon that. So any opportunities our parents can take to expand upon a learning opportunity that's happening organically. So if a student is on a swim team, can we set up a calculation problem that talks about a personal best versus where they started in the season? And that's an opportunity to engage in math. Simply helping mom meal plan, that's an opportunity to write and perhaps also engage in math. So you said the key words though, make it fun.
Any tips from you, Tony?
I think the big idea for me is start small. And it's more important to have a consistent small routine than it is to make a big show of, okay, today is our learning day and we're going to focus all day on learning. No, if you start a routine where sometime maybe it's right after breakfast or maybe it's mid-afternoon to do some sort of activity, there's all sorts of things. And it doesn't have to be the same thing every day. You can build it in naturally with what you're already doing in your day. So if you're out and about, like Beth mentioned, going grocery shopping, well, which is a better buy? What's the better deal? Can you help plan us this meal? What are we going to do for all those pieces? There's all sorts of those organic ways to build those pieces in.
So learning during the summer, continued learning opportunities may look different for our elementary students, our junior high school students, and our high school students, right? And our parents or caregivers who are watching may be wondering, what are some ways that I can do this with my kids? Can you give me some examples? Tony, maybe start with the elementary school. What are some examples at the elementary level?
Well, as a librarian, I will, of course, start talking about books. We have so many different opportunities for accessing books and using books within our school district. The Naperville Public Library is an excellent resource for this. The summer reading lists, just the school reading lists that we have at the state level, our Monarch books, our Blue Stem books, our Battle of the books, our Caudle books, all those lists are available to students and families at public libraries. They can check those books out based on whatever their interests may be. And it doesn't have to be an assignment, it has to be following their passions, and I think that really makes a big difference.
What ideas might you have for a junior high parent?
Well, I think our junior and senior high students might want to be engaged in some screen activity, right? So maybe intentionally planning with your student what kinds of apps they might be interested in engaging in over the summer would be beneficial. I also feel like taking an opportunity to let your student take the lead and maybe have a family book club is a wonderful opportunity. Also, young adult literature, and Tony, you might be more able to speak to this than I, but young adult literature is a real opportunity for a student to engage in a literature series. So if we can get our students engaged in a series that they enjoy, that can keep them going throughout the summer and maybe even beyond.
And I think what Beth, something that she said that's really important is involving the student in that process. A lot of times we get some choice during the school year about what students are able to learn, but this is a really great opportunity for them to take the reins and find their own passions. If they didn't get enough of that dinosaur unit or that unit on simple machines or the history of the United States, maybe this is a time to kind of expand on that. You know, I really liked that you liked that this year. What else are you still wondering? What else can we dig into? Our district school websites provide many, many links and resources that they can continue to look at over the summer. Those don't shut down just because our school doors might be closed. We do have we have all of our digital resource subscriptions that are available to students throughout the summer as well. And your students can talk to you about where are some places that you go to read? Where are some places that you can go and practice some of those skills? Where are some places that you know you can use for research?
We know that an exemplary school district is the result of the collaboration among its students, staff, its parents, and the community. And it sounds like from the examples that you're giving me, our community is going to be so important to supporting this during the summer. Can you talk a little bit about some community resources, locations, places, or things throughout our school community that could be helpful for parents and caregivers during the summer to, really promote summer learning?
At the elementary level, in the last segment we spoke a lot about the summer school learning. We have a summer school science camp for the elementary students that provides a lot of hands-on activities that can be extended throughout. DuPage Children's Museum is another excellent resource, and they provide many, many different types of activities and programming. Beyond books at the Naperville Public Library, there's all sorts of activities that you can find on their website to sign up for. Typically, all that programming is free and allows all people to access it. I think there are also just a lot of other types of programming through the Park District that you can find as well.
I also did a little bit of research on this and found that the Morton Arboretum has some wonderful science camp opportunities. North Central College has a variety of opportunities for all ages, from performance arts to academics to sports. I also didn't want to miss out on an opportunity to talk about online opportunities for our high schoolers, because the opportunity to enroll in massive open online classes that suit a variety of interests and needs for our high schoolers could be really valuable, as well as perhaps enrolling in an SAT prep course. Those are also free online for our high schoolers. So a lot of different opportunities.
Right. Tony, you talked really about the importance of not maybe being so regimented or so structured necessarily during this summer. Can you give parents and caregivers some tips on really how to get kids engaged in learning during the summer?
I think it all starts with having conversations with your students about where their passions are. I think if you can have an interest survey, I'm not saying sit down and do okay, do you like this? Do you like this? Have a conversation with them. The caregivers and families know their students pretty well, their children pretty well, and should be able to say, hey, I noticed you're really interested in this. What are some things? Can we set some goals for you this summer and say, how are we going to do this? If you want to learn all about dinosaurs, in the first 2 weeks, let's say we're going to study this part of it, and maybe we'll build a dinosaur, or maybe we'll investigate how dinosaurs died off. And there's all sorts of things they can do. You can apply that to any subject or any situation. We worry sometimes so much about what the students are missing, but we also need to focus on celebrating those pieces where they have their strengths as well.
In addition to summer school, an important commitment for us in our strategic blueprint has been the social emotional learning and what we do to support kids in their SEL needs. Sometimes kids aren't ready to come back to school just emotionally and socially, right? Not just academically. Beth, talk to us a little bit about our social emotional learning plan and maybe some strategies or tips to continue that social emotional growth during the summer that can help kids be ready for school.
Right. Again, I'm going to build on that idea of the organic opportunities that students are involved in with their families over the summer. Let's make sure our kids are not isolating themselves in the basement with the screen. Sure, we can integrate that into some of our learning plans, but we don't want that to be our only opportunity. We want kids to be engaging with peers. Some of the things that we've talked about this afternoon are ways for children to interact successfully with a little bit of support from adults. Also making sure that students get the opportunity to keep their bodies healthy, and in doing that either engaging in an organized athletic activity or some of the camps that we've mentioned. These are opportunities for students to learn about how to successfully interact with same-age peers, again, with that support from an adult.
Tony, what are 3 things that a family can do to prioritize to get ready during the summer for the next school year?
I think establishing routines as we get closer through August, understanding that we need to get back to what does it look like to be ready for school? Are there things that you wanted to do but you haven't quite gotten to yet? That's one. Getting that, establish that routine. Thinking about looking forward to reaching out to your schools and seeing if there's any resources that they have for you in terms of, I know a lot of schools have a welcome back to school night. There's absolutely parent resources out there for people who are moving into our community. Typically we might even have something like a popsicle and ice cream social or a welcome back to school barbecue. I know the district does a huge initiative in the early fall that brings it to us. So I think those are a couple ways that we can make sure that students are feeling comfortable and saying, okay, I know who these people are going to be. I'm feeling comfortable about going into a new adventure.
So Beth, I'm going to give you the challenge here.
Okay.
All right, so Tony just talked about what families and parents and caregivers can do. What would you say to students in our school district at various levels in terms of the importance of summer learning and finding something to engage themselves during the summer to continue learning?
Well, as I said, the studies have shown us how important it is to keep flexing that brain muscle over the summer. So we encourage our students to do that. As Tony said, find your passion and build upon it this summer. Don't let those 9 weeks just kind of slip through your fingers, right? Do something positive with them. For some students, that might be engaging in some really structured learning. For other students, it might be looking for service opportunities. So we encourage all of that as ways to maintain the growth that you achieve this school year.
So it sounds like for our students, that's it. Grab the bull by the horns and take the leadership and the ownership yourself of your own learning for the summer, right? Find your passion and your interest and get involved in it. Great.
Love that.
Thanks, Beth and Tony. I'd like to thank all our guests for joining us on this episode of School Scene and for providing a more detailed look at how to prevent summer learning loss. We'll see you back next fall.